one of my favorite restaurants in the local area here. Thanks for being with us, Doug.
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me, Ronnie.
So I know that we had talked earlier on the eve of the announcement. We anticipated it. I will say the one thing I found surprising from the governor is she said there's a possibility that they want to reopen on the 1st. When you hear that, what do you think?
Well, it adds to the difficulty that we're all having trying to make our plans as to what we're going to do. My understanding in that last discussion of pushing back to the first was to help us get better prepared to do it. But yet, unfortunately, we don't know it's for sure, so that makes it hard for us to prepare. And we understand there's going to be some additional guidelines that would be nice to understand what they are for our preparation. Is there going to be curfews? Is there not? What sort of load capacities are we going to be able to function with in our restaurant? So we're happy to see the light coming at the end of the tunnel, but it's still very difficult, and it's not giving us the information that would be helpful for us to be ready for this date, as stated.
Yeah, because there is light at the end of the tunnel, but that light is very dim, right? Because what actually goes on behind the scenes to be able to reopen and revamp? Now, you're still open. You do have curbside, you do have carry out, and you do have some of the outdoor seating and dining, which has become very popular. But in order to reopen to dining, there's a lot of work that goes into that.
Yes, there is. And staffing is the most difficult part of it. It's been very challenging the whole year. When we were able to reopen in June, and thank goodness that there was protection money out there for the workers, but some of that money offset what people might be making going to work. So it was hard to get people to walk away from, the money coming from the government for their support and get them to come back to fill the jobs needed in the restaurant industry. So it was, after opening, it was a good 6-week ramp up. We're hoping it's not going to be as difficult this time. But it is that the hardest part is getting people back in, trained, up to speed to the new protocols and whatever restaurant they're working in, their menus and everything else that goes with it. So staffing is the toughest part in getting ready for this.
Because before, at least a lot of the college kids were home. But a lot of the college kids, even if they're not doing on-campus classes, they've still left to go back to their dorm rooms or their off-campus apartments. So you've lost that workforce until, they return in the summer.
Yes, absolutely. The summer is our best workforce pool, and being in the middle of winter and laying off your more steady staff in the area. A lot of people have had to relocate, move in with family members. So even some of the people that you've counted on aren't always going to be available when you have a break like this, and they're forced to find other ways to keep their roofs over their heads. So it is going to be a challenge, but those are challenges we would rather fight on our own terms, on our own efforts. So give us the ability to open, and we will deal with our own challenges. Without the ability to open, it's all taken out of our own hands, and that makes it even more difficult.
Yeah, because what's the supply chain like to be able to get the supplies in and ramp up? And again, how do you pre-order not knowing whether or not you're going to be open till 10 o'clock or till midnight or till 2 o'clock? I mean, that's a big difference in trying to get the supplies that you need.
Yeah, it is. The groups, the people we work with are very professional and ready to go as well. But again, it becomes harder on the individual operator, understanding what your usages are going to be with so much high perishables in your fruits and vegetables, and dairies and meats. So really trying to figure out how is the customer going to respond? What sort of sales volumes might you be able to expect? That's more difficult for us than making the order through our supplier and feeling comfortable they'll have it. That's not a concern. In the spring, there was some difficulties as this was sweeping the nation, and packing plants and so many other facilities were affected. That has not been the problem as of late. Really, it's going to be understanding what is our consumer demand going to be, how are people going to respond, and how much do we need to order to balance that line so we're not wasting our capital, but ordering the right amount for the people. And a lot of that comes down to how are we going to be able to operate to make those decisions. So again, having something a little clearer, I hope leading into the first, we'll get, a few more days heads up that for sure this is going to happen, and for sure this is going to be the operating guidelines that will go miles for us in the restaurant industry into really understanding what sort of supplies do we need based on how we're going to be allowed to operate.
What makes this hard is because as a business owner, you don't plan day by day. You have to plan out in order to survive, but no one saw this coming. And for it lasting this long as well, I mean, think all the way back to last March. I remember it was originally like 2 weeks?
Yeah, a 2-week shutdown.
Boy, listen to that. And some of our government officials wonder why the members of the public don't have a lot of trust in them and what they're saying as well. So with that too, and the information is changing long term, what do you think this is going to do for business owners and restaurant owners such as yourself when it comes to employee staffing? Do you think some people are just going to leave the industry for good because of the uncertainty?
Yeah, I do. Both ownership, there's going to be a lot of businesses that are going to be lost through this. Definitely in the restaurant industry that I operate in the circles of people that I speak with. But definitely in the supply chains as well that feed the restaurants. We went out to Bozeman this past summer, Montana, and you would not believe the waste of potatoes that was going into landfills and being used for cattle feed, because with the nation shut down, no one was eating French fries anymore. You weren't going out to restaurants. Like, it impacts so many different things. And those people, right, there's going to be that many less potato farmers. There's going to be that many less farms. So not only is the restaurants themselves, but all the salespeople, all the industries that support the restaurant are going to be hugely impacted by this, because there will be restaurants that close. My understanding and what I've been hearing, and I do believe that we're going to be somewhere between a 30 and 40% loss of restaurants this year in the state of Michigan. That people just could not weather the tough times that we've had to deal with.
That is astounding. And it really is heartbreaking when you're driving down the road and you see so many businesses that have already closed due to the crisis and the pandemic. And with that, tell us more about some of the restaurants that you own. We know you have Fork and Pint in Waterford. What are your other restaurants, and what has worked for you during this pandemic?
Yes, we have 4 restaurants now, 2 different concepts. We have the Fork and Pint in Waterford on Cass Lake, and we have a Fork and Pint in downtown Lake Orion, the village of Lake Orion. We have an Irish Tavern. It's called Waterford Irish Tavern in Waterford, and we opened a new Irish Tavern in Madison Heights on March 2nd of last year. So that store didn't qualify for anything. It was not in business in 2009. It's been a challenge for us. Unfortunately, we've laid off 80% of our staff the second time around. We were hoping it was going to be a 2-week period. It has extended out, and it's been difficult for them. But for our survival and what we've been able to do to make the restaurants as strong as possible for when we are able to reopen and bring back 100% of the staff that we had prior to, it really got engaged with the community. We saw the pivoting of our business to a takeout, which we had started in the spring. And set a lot of foundation that when the second time came around, we were able to add to and follow the successful items that we were offering and procedures that we were doing, that the community's really gravitated towards it and done well. We also have igloos and or tents at our various restaurants with heaters outside. Now, they're not your house temperature. People come to them and like, oh, it's kind of chilly. I mean, the best we can do is get them about 15 degrees warmer than the outside, but you take the wind chill off. It's neat, it's exciting, and people are enjoying it. So we've really had to reposition some of the things we do in order to stay relevant with our community and stay in front of people. But one of the things my team came up with the second time around, knowing that people were hurting, was a help your neighbor, good neighbor program. They brought to me, stating, hey, let's feed the people that have a difficulty during this time. Let's offer them meals that they can just come in and pick up for free, which was a fantastic idea, but it's very scary to the owner as to how much am I going to be in for. Here we're cutting way back in our sales and laying people off, and yet now we're going to feed people for free. But they believed in our community. They said that the community would reach out and support us, that the monies that we earmarked that we would make available for this, anything additional, the community would reach out, and the community has been fantastic. People call in, they order food for themselves, they ask if they can buy a meal for someone else. People have sent in checks for the others. So all 4 of our stores offer this. We work with local groups that will come and pick up food daily for retirees and elderly that have difficulty getting out. So we have standing orders daily that ship out of each store to these volunteer groups that help distribute it, as the community had been so supportive. And what's nice is I know that when we open, we have an instant audience. We haven't been forgotten. We haven't been lost. People are sending us emails and commenting on our social media a lot as to when you reopen, we will be there for you. We appreciate what you're doing. And more than anything, I guess that makes us feel good about what we do. If we can stay alive, if we can come out of this thing whole, if we can engage our community and we can touch lives along the way doing it, that's the best you can hope for. And it helps you sleep, and it keeps a smile on your face that you are appreciated during these tough times. Our staff has done just a fantastic job with these programs.
I love that you are doing the community program. It's really is amazing, but I think community is become the highlight of this pandemic. And one of the things by bringing people together and making those connections, because we've had to slow down to a degree during the crisis. And so community and our neighbors, that's what's important, and it's bringing us together. So that is the good thing. But you're also making a lot of these changes at a time when your revenue is not flowing like it once did. No. What's that adjustment been like?
Difficult. We right at the beginning, we had the ability and the thought, right? We addressed all our bankers, we addressed all our landlords, and asked and negotiated some breaks, some opportunities that the committed monies aren't going away, but the time of demand for those monies we've been able to extend to allow us to get a little stronger or to last this out. When the monies have been available from both the Oakland County grants, PPP money from, we were able to get involved and get some of those monies, which were additionally a help. And really the staff that we do have, putting forth the efforts to come in and make sure that we're here every day to provide into our community. It keeps our to-go going. It keeps our lights on, right? No, nobody in the restaurant industry is getting rich this year, or ever. It's a tough industry, but if you can come out whole, right? If you can just come out on the other side, able to fight tomorrow, that's the chance that we're all asking for, and being just a closure without those opportunities makes it very difficult to meet the challenges of tomorrow. So we all just want our chance to protect our community, to do right by our community, follow the steps as they are laid out as to safety protocol, but provide our services. And restaurants are so much more than just food. People say, what is your restaurant about? Tell me about. A restaurant is community driven, right? A restaurant is the charity events for the Little League softball teams, for the high school cheer groups, travel groups, or, for so many things that happen. The community is what makes your restaurant and gives your restaurant the life that it is. Our part of it is giving people a place to gather, dine, and share their stories. And we all just look forward to that time when we have that opportunity to do that again.
I know that starting today, the employees are going to be able to start applying for some of those additional monies up to, I think it's like $1,600. And then I believe next week, some of that additional funding is going to be coming available to some of the restaurants up to $20,000. I look at some of these programs as a headline for the politicians, because them getting up there and saying this, because I think it's 44 million. When you look at the number of restaurants and employees and businesses, because it's not just restaurants, there's a list of other businesses as well, such as golf courses, water parks, some of these other activities and entities. 44 million is not going to go very far.
No, no, it isn't. The best scenario should be and could be, will be, is give the businesses the opportunity to operate in a safe capacity. We can make our own monies, right? That's what America was built on. We have that opportunity. We look forward to that. Any of the offerings they do provide definitely is a benefit. I'm not saying that, but sometimes the cart gets in front of the horse, and we get asked a lot. I've been in touch with my bankers about the next round of the PPPs, and they're like, our hands are tied. It's been printed in the paper, yes. It's being reported on TV, yes. But we have no direction, for us as to how to get that money out to you, what the application is, when the application period opens. So, yes, there is a lot of information out there coming, but it's not here yet. And it prints it like it is here. I hear all the time, but you're getting this, but you're getting, it's like, no, they talked about this, but there's no plan of distribution. There's no, so we do look forward to it. We appreciate it. It doesn't always go the way we read it in the paper. But in the long run, giving us the opportunity to make that income on our own and through our own efforts is really the best solution. Yet we just can't give away money forever. And I grant it. Some people need it for sure. We all need it, but we would rather make it on our own.
Isn't that the truth? And we have to remember too, it's taxpayer money. It's not always free money. We're paying it back at some point in time.
It gets paid back, and the future generations are gonna be surprised, I think, at what they're gonna be responsible for.
Well, Doug, we appreciate your time. I know that you're extremely busy with the 4 restaurants. Quickly though, I know that you had to make reservations for the igloos. How can people do that? Is it just a phone call, or do you do it online?
Yeah, it is phone call. Call in after 1 o'clock any day of the week. On the weekends, we open at noon, presently in the shutdown. We'll go back to normal hours or what we're allowed to when we can. But yeah, call the restaurant and make your reservation. And we are running, so about 7 to 10 days out. We get calls all day long for today. Is there something available tonight? And really, we're a good week to week and a half out in these reservations right now. So again, the whole shutdown is making all of us think farther ahead than we normally do in order to get to what we're looking to get a hold of.
I barely know what I'm doing like this afternoon. How am I supposed to know what I'm doing next week?
Yeah, maybe a positive spin out of this whole thing is we all become a little bit better planners in life. I don't know.
Well, Doug, thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Ronnie. Appreciate it.
And we wish you the best in 2021, and let's hope things turn around pretty quickly.
Fingers crossed. Thank you.